Hello, calculus fans! Let's try computing this derivative. It's the derivative of log of x to the fifth divided by the cube root of x minus 4. Now what we want to do with this one is use some of our properties of logarithms to simplify it before we take a derivative. And so I'd like to review some useful properties of logarithms. These are all properties that you really should know and probably have seen before. Alright, so here are a few properties that are useful for logarithms. So if you have a power on the inside of a logarithm like this, you can bring that power out in front. If you have the log of a product, then it turns into a sum of logs. And if you have a log of a quotient, it turns into a difference of logs. So these are all properties of logarithms that you certainly have seen before. We're going to use them now to simplify our function before we take a derivative. This is something you want to watch for when looking at logarithm functions. There are a lot of ways you can simplify before starting. Okay, so if we simplify the original function, the first property we can use is the fact that we have a log of a quotient, and that's going to turn into a difference of logs. So we break this up into two separate logarithms. Okay, now let's rewrite that cube root as a 1/3 power. This is the usual thing I've been doing. I really don't like to deal with the radicals. I'd much rather deal with the power functions. Now we can use the first property, which says that if you have a power on the inside of the logarithm, you can bring it out front as a constant. So here you see the 5 got moved out in front, and the same with the 1/3, that got moved out in front. So now we have a much simpler expression, and this is going to be a lot easier to deal with when taking a derivative. So now if you want to differentiate the log of x to the fifth over a cube root of x minus 4, we use this much more simplified version here, and we'll take a derivative of that instead. Alright, so the first piece, the derivative of 5 log x, well, the 5 just comes along for the ride, and the derivative of the log function is 1 over x. Then we need the derivative of minus 1/3 log of x minus 4. Well, the derivative of the log function is just 1 over the inside function, so it's 1 over x minus 4. The 1/3 out in front just comes along for the ride. Then, of course, we have to invoke the chain rule and multiply by the derivative of the inside function. But notice that the derivative of this inside function is just 1. So we've got our answer now. If we simplify just a little bit, it'll look like this. And this is actually our final answer. There really isn't any more simplification we need to do. For instance, there's no need to make common denominators. We'll just stop right here. Okay, that's all for now.